from Havili was magic. The shift on for Crotty. Boom, far down you go, Quackett Smith. Me, oh my, I have enjoyed that. Yes, boy.
Sit back, relax, put your belt on, and enjoy the show.
All right, welcome to Season 3, Episode 32 of the Draft Rugby Podcast, where we discuss Fantasy Super Rugby, the game they play online in heaven. Check out the platform at draftrugby.com, and you can get after us on the socials at Draft Rugby. I'm your host, Kagi, and I am joined once again on this fine evening by both Harry and Nelson on Zoom. Fellas, welcome. How were your weekends, and how did you enjoy the Super Saturday? Lots of rugby on Saturday.
Yeah, mate, the weekend was good. Father's Day, obviously. So we both spent time with our family and partners' families as well. So very good days. And Super Saturday was very, very good. I was out and about at a few different pubs and a mate's 30th, watching different bits and pieces. And I got to say that North versus South game, we had the entire party, bunch of leaguey loving. I'll leave the last word off, but we all sat down, the entire room of 20 people, watching the end of the North versus South game for the last 20 or 30 minutes. It was pretty awesome.
Well, I'm guessing you guys were social distancing as well, and those 20 people.
Of course.
Yeah, it's a huge house.
You first, Nels.
I think Super Saturday is a great idea. I just wish it was Super Sunday, because they had a game starting the same time as my game, and then I had to drive down to a mate's 30th, so roped the wife into driving so I could sit there and watch a fair bit of that Kiwi North versus South match, and then turned up to the 30th and didn't listen to them for good chunks of time just so I could watch some of that third game too.
How good. Yeah, no, I missed the first two games of footy. Also had a birthday, but I got there. It sounded like the whole pub had basically united in watching that North versus South game. I think everyone had ignored all the other sports on the TVs. So that was fantastic, and I did thoroughly enjoy watching it yesterday. I think I'm going to watch it again. It was that good.
Look at the 3-test series.
That's it. I had a few people saying it was the best game of the decade. I was like, wow, let's calm down there a little bit, but certainly a good game of rugby.
No Kiwis, so
yeah, for sure. And look, there was no draft rugby or fantasy rugby to speak of this weekend.
There was the grand
you guys weren't in any. You guys didn't have any fantasy fixtures this weekend, did you? So there wasn't.
No, we didn't lose this week. We chose to sit this one out. But mate, you played on the weekend. You were up for the championship, right? How'd you go? Second title?
Oh, did I? Yeah, I must have missed it. No, yes. I did miss out on my second title, and I really wanted that. Is that a bit of negative on there?
Yeah, feedback there, mate.
Can you hear me now?
I think the bullshit detector started going off when you said that you were really disappointed and that you think that he really deserved it.
Yeah, no, that's a good summary, actually. I might just stop there. I mean, I could chuck a Nelson and, say, if only this and only that and everything, but look.
You won as many championships as me, so you can't talk shit.
That's what I was going to say. I wanted to win one more just for that. I mean, no one remembers your championship because it was about 30 years ago. But look, no, definitely went to the most deserved man, Christian Nabung, his first season in draft rugby and fantasy rugby. And, definitely the most deserved. He beat the current champ, Harry, 4-0 this year. And he was the minor premier in the first season. And then we had the disruption, so I had to have a whole new draft. Still managed to come back, find his way into finals the second time around. So absolutely well done and credit to him.
And I think it means we can, change Super Sub Newbung's name to Naybum. Sorry, Naybum is definitely what his new title is.
That's correct. So for our listeners out there, we talked last week about Harry being changed to the has-been and Nelson finally being changed from the spoon. But with two Nabung brothers in our fantasy in the OG league, the losing Nabung, the super sub and long-time player, has now been renamed to Naybum. And we will thoroughly enjoy calling him such until, I don't know, he claims it back, I guess. So that was good. But no, look, I had a very close finals fantasy. So I think it came down to 21 points, 497 to 470, whatever it was. And look, Tavita Kuridrani, I called it. I said I would live or die by him. And it's been so long since he scored a try that he actually forgot how to put the ball down over the line. And that's probably cost me the fixture.
It definitely costed you the fixture. I think we went through the maths. If you picked up Reece Hodge or you picked up him, both Harry and I said when we were looking at your team that we wouldn't have picked up Kuridrani. But in typical Cargie fashion, you did. And I mean, you suffered because of it.
That's it. But look, that's the beauty of fantasy footy. You know, you've got to go with your gut. It's not always all about just the numbers, and you win some, you lose some. So I'll be back bigger and stronger next year, and it'll be exciting. So let's move on and get into it. On the menu for tonight, we're going to look at Super Rugby AU Round 10, the final round of the regular season, the 2 games there. For main course, we're going to look at the upcoming Super Rugby AU semi-final between the Reds and the Rebels. And for dessert, we're going to have a quick chat about that North vs South game and the All Black squad announced this week, and perhaps even the Pony squad announced a little way back. But just exciting things to come with that. So without further ado, let's get into the entree. The Waratahs had the bye this week. And the first game, we had the Rebels and the Force. I still haven't watched this game yet, but full disclosure. I don't know if I will. It might be too painful, to be honest. But who wants to take us through this one?
Yeah, look, I'm happy to have a crack at this one. It was a game, I think, that more so this week than any other week. It was something that, you know, had so much on the line. It's not necessarily the game that you'd be super keen to watch, Rebels v Force, but there was so much waiting on it this week, not only for the Rebels, but also for the Waratahs. The game went down 34 to the Rebels to the Force 30, 4 tries apiece. It was only kicks that you know, decided the match in this one. In terms of returning, we had Dane Halapeti returning after his MCL injury and had a pretty good crack at this one. Injuries, we had James Tuttle with a hammy, Peck Cowan. He also had an injury and was helped from the field. The Rebels had to actually win this one. We touched on it last week. They had to win it by 4 points or more to jump ahead of the Tars and qualify in third. And boy, did they leave this late, and did they make this tight, because the first half was a seesawing affair. Both teams sort of took the lead in different points. And then just before halftime and just after the buzzer as well, Andrew Reddy scored a try on both of those sides. Then followed by that, there was a yellow card to Tom Pincus, and then a subsequent try to Brainard Stunder to give the Force a 30-20 lead at the 58-minute mark. I mean, we talk about this every week. It's 60 minutes that the Force are in it. So we now know 10 points is not enough for the Force at the 60-minute mark. They need at least 15 points to take out the match. Shout out to Cameron Orr. He threw a massive cutout pass right over the top of a few defenders, hitting Reece Hodge to sneak over in the corner. Was that how far was that in the game, Harry?
I think that was in the first half, I think. Yeah, that was Reece Hodge's try anyway, but it was off the back of like a knock backwards, and it kind of fumbled around for a little while, but it was a huge Harbour Bridge. But Taniela Tupou is probably the only other one I can think of in Australian rugby that would even consider throwing the double cutout to hit the winger.
Oh, mate, Taniela would throw the bullet, though. You remember last week? He did. He threw ripped it, mate. But no, that was great from Cameron Orr, a player who has been growing every week in Harry's estimations.
Yeah, we're big fans, mate. You're the only one who's not on the Orr train.
No, he's very good. But no, it was. I think the Force certainly had all possession in the first half. But you're right. What do we say? It's not only the last 20 minutes. We say the elder statesman of the Force. They just can't get all the way through.
Yeah, that's it. Just they asked too much of some of their players. It was good to see the return of DHP. He scored a pretty good try. Corey Beattie and Hodge, they all carved up. in that back three for them. Actually, sorry, Hodge went back into the centres. It's just sad to see the Force, come out firing, have another crack at a game that they could have won, just so they're going to have that tick next to the column at the end of the year that they got to win in this short season. But seemingly they did everything to throw in the towel in that last 20 minutes. They had yellow cards to Ralston and Fergus Lee Warner, and Nick Frisby had a brain snap kicking the ball out from the back of their scrum out on the full.
He's due for about one of those a game, though, isn't he, Nick Frisby? You know what I mean?
It's been so long since we've seen him play. It's hard to know, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you believe he was a Wallaby? But just
I mentioned to one of the boys that's fallen away from the love of rugby and become a leaguey over the last couple of years. And when I said Nick Frisby had subbed on, he's like, "Oh man, he's the best. He's so good." Hey, I'm like, "Oh, we'll just wait. Like, let's just wait and see what happens." So, yeah, not the best. Not the best.
Maybe 5 years ago, Reds, he might have had one decent season. I don't know.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. To finish this game out, there's a bit of confusion. It was Ma'afu thinking he scored. I think it was against the post, was it?
It was, yeah.
So
I think it was just next to it, yeah.
Burrowed under.
And but the Rebels still got the job done with Kobus Eloff scoring, just next to the post and it being converted for the win. The difference was Tamua kicked 6 from 6. Sorry, Harry?
Weird because Murphy thought he scored. I think everyone thought he scored.
Yeah.
And then when everyone was convinced he scored, he kind of let the ball go. So it just kind of bottled backwards. Yeah. And I think everyone just kind of switched off and it just ended up in Eloff's hands and no one was trying to defend him because everyone assumed the game was already over because he'd clearly scored. But when they went upstairs, they said, "Oh, no try, can you overturn it?" Like the camera angles just didn't show enough detail. So it was a really weird one where we thought they'd gotten it so clearly wrong on 2 occasions, but because of that, 2 wrongs made a right. And the Rebels won.
I feel like one of the old commentators saying that for the kids at home, it's why you always play till the whistle, just just another case of that.
Yeah, some dad definitely said that to his kids, for sure.
Perfect example. As Craig said, first half, the Force had 62% of possession and the Rebels sort of took it back in that second half with 55%. Territory is pretty even. Run meters went the way of the Rebels by just over 100 meters, but the Force ran in 11-5 line breaks, 9-5 offloads. It was the kicking that separated the teams. Tamura getting 100%, 6 from 6, with Pryor getting 4 from 6. That's the 4 points there. The Rebels, they lost 3 of their lineouts, while the Force, they lost 2 of their scrums. Andrew Reddy, ex-Reds player, he was the fantasy man of the match, 70 points.
Of the round, would you believe it?
Yeah.
Which one of you had him in the fantasy final, Craigs?
Neither of us backed him. I can't say we did.
He could have helped you, mate. 70 points, 2 tries, 7 tackles. That's worth 14 points, a turnover, and 13 line-out wins. For the Rebels, DHP had 53, Matt Phillip 47, and Isi Nasarani, even though he was denied a maul try, still got 41 points. For the Force, Jono Lance had 44, and Henry Stowers had 42.
Very good. No, you'd be a bold man to pick up Andrew Reddy, I have to say, but wow, he was certainly super composed at the back of those mauls. It wasn't just like
he was a very good hooker for the Reds.
Well, yeah, look, technically very good.
And I mean, he scored now 3 rolling maul tries in 3 games. I think it was 2 weeks before this. He scored another one. I don't think it was last week, was it?
I think, yeah, it was. It wasn't late, but I think look, in terms of the excitement meter, he's right down the bottom of that line. Yeah. But
he's clearly turned their rolling maul around because I don't think they had a rolling maul before he started.
No, I think that's fair.
Yeah. Spot on.
And then line-out, he's through 100% of his line-outs, which is something amazing to see in the Aussie sides at the moment.
Yeah, and then they picked the hooker that's not even on the bench for the pony squad from there, hey?
What a joke.
Absolutely. The guy who I said through missed more line-outs than he
no, not Marfu.
Wrong last week. Oh, was that Marfu? Oh, look, I get confused between Mafu and Kai too.
They're all nobodies, mate. They're all nobodies.
Exactly. All right. Well, on that bombshell, let's move on to the next game of the round. We had the Reds and the Brumbies, the final in waiting, if you will, the pre-final final. What's going to be the final? I think we can all pretty much agree. Spoiler alert on the main course here. But no, who wants to? Harry, do you want to take us through this one, the Reds and the Brums?
I'd love to. Thank you. So, spoiler, Reds got up 26-7, 3 tries to 1 and spanked the Brumbies silly. But I guess you had a few people coming back on this one. Hamish Stewart, he had that hit pointer, which is basically just like a bony bruise on the point of your pelvis. Sounds very fancy though. Hunter Paisami was back on the bench from his MCL injury, second one of the season. Chris Veawal-Sortia came back from his calf injury to start on the wing. Tavita Kurandrani came back to crush Cargie's hopes. And you had JP Smith and Ruan Smith both joining the Reds bench. JP from a neck injury, and Ruan Smith just decided he didn't want to play for the Rebels anymore. So he came back to the Reds so he was a chance at winning a title. So smart move from him.
Yeah, and I think JP's neck injury was just for missing Ruan. That's what his injury actually was. He's like, oh, he's back. Oh, we can play again. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. Look, we've been singing, or you guys have been singing the praises, not as much me, although I do think he's good. Tom Wright's praises in the last few weeks. He was definitely directly responsible for the Reds' 2 first tries. Both times 100%. He shot out of the line, took absolutely nobody and got caught in no man's land. So his defensive decision-making was a huge black mark against his name in this game. I wouldn't go as far as to say this is an ongoing issue, but it was definitely something that the Reds identified because they were purposely holding it up to draw him forwards out of the line. Jock Campbell did it beautifully for that first one.
Look, I think it was the first I've seen of it, him definitely doing that. But, I mean, it was pretty blatant. He shot in, in front of 2-3 blokes and left massive gaping holes outside him. So, I don't know how they tempted him there because I haven't seen it in previous weeks. But whatever they're doing, they picked it out and worked it really well.
He must have been confused and thought Jono Lance was still playing for the Reds or something. He was looking for those intercepts, you know what I mean? I don't know. That's the only explanation I've got.
Yeah. Good save, mate. Good save. A couple of penalties as well to the Reds in that first half meant that the Reds were up 18-0 on the last play of the half. And then Tom Wright kind of redeemed himself a little bit, made a tackle break and kind of awkwardly spun around. He threw this little offload switch back into Pete Samu. And I think the Reds just been a little bit tired and letting their guard down, had 5 men chasing across field, every single one over chase rather than setting some sort of line. And Pete Samu jogged over the line from 22 out. It was a really weird try. And to me, it just looked like they went, we're 18-0 up here. We've got this covered. Let their guard down. And that was the Brumbies' only score of the entire match. So I thought that was a big play against the run of things that kind of gave them some hope.
They missed another pretty big opportunity for them where I think it was, I don't remember exactly how it was created, but Kurandrani ended up, running basically 20 metres into, all he had to do was put the ball down. Tate McDermott put a hit on, I think it was Tom Wright on the wing, bounced back to his feet and sprinted down Chase Kurandrani, who looks remarkably slow at the moment. Seeing he's had a lot of time away from footy, he should have been fit and quick. But and Kurandrani just that little bit of pressure from Tate, trying to pull him down, drop the ball cold. It's pretty atrocious to see, to be fair, from him. But really, really good work from Tate.
The thing that got me was that he slowed down before he put it down. He eased up, and it was just like, mate, what are you doing? He had no awareness of what was going on around him.
We need a tally on how many tries Tate McDermott has saved this year on the line. It is ridiculous. There's at least 4. It's insane.
He does not give up, Tate.
He literally was on the ground and sprinted back to get that. Amazing work. Before
the game, in his pre-game psych up, he just must watch that George Gregan tackle over and over again. It's all that's in his head.
Should be mandatory for all halfbacks, no?
Moving on, it took a little while for the scoring to get going in the second half, but the Reds just kind of piled on the pressure with another penalty. The Brumbies had a lot of attacking meters and a lot of attacking breaks, but they just kept turning the ball over at important times. I think they had 24 turnovers in the game from memory, something like that. Yeah,
28.
28 turnovers to the Reds 15. So that was really, really telling. Then the icing on the cake, there was a bomb that went up. Bailey Kunzel was on the wing, jumped up and kind of just went straight through the bread basket. He did one of these ones and made the donut for the ball to go through. And Tate McDermott, who played 30 minutes on the right wing when Sortea came off, just was there again, man of the moment, always on the spot, and popped right into his hands. He ran away and scored it to just rack up his fantasy points as he does. Other than that, the benches were used really early. I think maybe both teams just trying to save their legs a little bit. Harry Wilson came off, which never happens. Salakai Loto, the tall building, the same thing. Irae Simoni, Jordan Pataya, and both the front rows all off really quite early. So I don't know if that was a tactical thing for this game or if it was just because they wanted to make sure that they didn't get any injuries leading into the finals. My gut feel is it's the latter.
Yeah, no, I just noticed that because Chrissy and I were pulling our hair out with all our players going off. It was like, what's going on? Why?
Yeah, exactly. And, I mentioned the Brumbies making a lot of meters and a lot of runs, but not quite finishing off. Some of the match stats here, the Brumbies led all the attacking ones. So 53 and 56 possession territory, respectively. Run meters, they had 510 to 469 with 24 extra carries for that. They had 27 to 22 tackle busts, 13 to 11 line breaks, 11 to 7 offloads. So they really had a dig this week as well. But as I said, the huge turnover count worked against them. And the set piece pretty solid. The Reds lost a couple of their own lineouts and the Brums one of their own scrums. And I think the Brumbies had 3 penalties against them in the scrum time as well. So they were fuming that apparently Taniela Tupou was just pulling his opposition man, Scott Seo, down all game. And they've already lodged a complaint in anticipation for the rematch in a couple of weeks' time.
I'll just say before you jump to the fantasy stats, I think it was a case of just like the Reds putting on enough consistent pressure that meant they were able to kind of crack that usually unfaltering Brumbies composure. The Brumbies just couldn't keep themselves together the whole game.
They did look a bit rattled.
Yeah, absolutely. And also I just wanted to mention one other player who scored pretty well, but Nick White. We've just thrown some praise on Tate McDermott, but for the most part of the first half and start of the second, Nick White was all over him. He wouldn't let him breathe, Tate McDermott. He was smashing him out the sideline. He was pressuring him like Tate hasn't experienced so far in his rugby career. It was pretty amazing to see from Nick White. A bit of a masterclass, I thought. But
and he almost scored one in that first half, I think, as well, didn't he?
He did, yeah. Well, he was close. He was probing a few good probing runs and very close to the line in the pick and drives. But no, it's just absolutely great game from him.
And just because he's not on my list as well, James O'Connor, I thought was exceptional at fly half. I thought his passing game and his running game was really, really good. But we'll push on. Fantasy man of the match, Liam Wright, 66 points. Couldn't do it when I had him in my team, but as soon as he's out of it, exceptional. 1 try, 17 from 17 tackles, 2 turnovers, and 6 lineouts as well. They talked about making him a lineout option. That's big. 6 of them. So they used him heavily.
That's big. Something you want to see in your blindside flanker, that's for sure.
Yeah. So obviously trying to make sure they had that string to his bow for the Wallabies. The Reds had Filippo Dungunu, 57 points, Jock Campbell, 51, and Tate McDermott, 42 to add to that. And the Brumbies had Petey Samu on 52 points, Tom Wright, 49, and Tom Banks, 41.
Bang.
Pistol Pete.
And who can stop Filippo Dungunu? I mean, there was one of those runs, he's stepping left, right, and centre. It looks like he doesn't even know where he's going. You know what I mean? He jumps up and just, I don't know, wherever the wind takes him.
He needs to get a test cap.
He does.
He has to get a test cap. Look, realistically, it's just sad that he feels a similar role to Corey Beattie, but he is just too good at the moment to not have there.
Well, I mean, spoiler alert again. That's something we'll talk about when we have a quick look at the pony squad. But when it comes to the final and this rematch, again, I'm just assuming that the Reds are getting through. I mean, if he plays well, if he in this preview, this game coming up, the Rebels Reds, if he plays well enough, it's kind of like a direct audition, Korobidi and Dalguna. They're both in the pony squad. Is there a chance that he pips him for the spot? I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, now that I've shot myself in the foot and started talking about the game that we're just about to talk about, let's move on to the main course.